Hi folks, Dave Woodard, the man from back east, the true solver of Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt, back at it again. I'm going to call this video Layers 3.1 because that Layers number 3 video, I'm so proud of that video. That had so much information to prove everything that I've said is correct about Kent and Esther, that cross at Palisades. That's the magic, folks. The actual wondering what the actual true solve is over. It is absolutely 100% over. It's done. It is the Kent and Esther cross. There's no denying all of the hints that are in the books that validates factually with Kent and Esther, how he pulled it all together. So that video, that's the end of wondering what the solve is. When you see all these other vloggers, actually, who don't want to admit, because they have their own agendas, folks. These other vloggers, I have one right now, well aware, I'm done, because he just keeps bickering about where Walmart is Halt is not Agua Fria Peak, because Halt and Peak are not the same. It's just absolutely childish stupidity. It basically is what it is. And then you have Why Must I Go, who was starting to harass me. The same thing. These vloggers have their own agendas on making a book. Why Must I Go already told me he was making money from this. I don't know how, but he's making money from it. So he tries to shut down where the actual true solve came from. And then you have Bill Gorman putting the Palisade cliff up there from somewhere, and he sees about 1,000 different pictures in that group of rocks, which is great for Bill. But there's no structure, no defining specific points. That Kent and Esther cross, I solved the map that actually brought me to that Kent and Esther cross. specifically. And you know how I know that I'm the true solver? Because of that. There's two ways that you can solve Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt poem with a map and everything else. There's two ways. And I'm the only one that knows that. So explaining the first way is you take the actual poem, you follow it precisely, and it leads you to the treasure, to the end of his rainbow and the treasure. Actually, he says that in the book. I'll post that picture. But he says, it will lead you to the end of my rainbow and the treasure. So when you find his blaze, which is the end of the rainbow up on the ridge, down the steep hill, across the Tarry Scant, Marvel Gaze, Palisade, the cross is sitting right there. That's the way you solve this. And again, I missed that. It was so friggin' simple. I missed it for 2 years. I've admitted that. That's my own fault. But that being said, there were two other look quickly downs that I was confusing it with. So the simplicity of it, which all of you folks can see how simple it really was to get to that cross. But that cross is the magic. That cross, if you realize the second way, that's the first way that you can solve this whole poem of Forrest Fenn's. The second way is to understand Kent and Esther being canasta. That you join them together, the androgynous name. That's the second way to solve this Forrest Fenn poem. And that's how I did it. He beat me on the actual description that I've given in my Layers number 2 video. That actual description of the poem and how it really literally works and how Forrest created it and how he used it and how it separates each specific place. Precisely. He said precisely. And that poem brings you to that cross precisely. The way I solved it. The one person who solved it. So, that being understood, that Kent and Esther, while I was sitting there in the parking lot where I parked, feeling beaten again for the 9th time, I realized that the Kent and Esther were canasta. Not having any clue on who Kent was or who Esther was. I figured that out months later when I realized what had really happened at the end of the treasure hunt. How they came forward. Why Forrest Fenn lied about Wyoming. All of that information came out, and then I realized, I'm like, this is a cover-up going on. Now, a lot of the vloggers will tell you, hey, there's a cover-up. Jack's not really the guy. There's lying. There's this and that. They're all running around like chickens with their heads cut off, confused because they have no idea why Forrest Fenn said Wyoming. They have no idea what the real solve is. The real people out there that want to know the true ending of Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt, you watch my Layers video 1, 2, and 3. It explains how Forrest changes certain words to mean a certain thing, and give you the story that's inside of his stories. Folks, there's a story that Forrest Fenn put inside of his stories in his books. That the back meaning, if you did not, well, apparently nobody did, except for me. That backstory that I've tried to give in my 3 videos, that's what leads you to that cross at Palisade Sill. That's why Forrest had all the Palisades in the books. He had it in the epilogue, which is what the premise of the whole story was in the first book, The Thrill of the Chase. I have every single thing answered, which is like absolutely incredible. I can tell you what the omegas are, the double omegas. I can tell you what the Palisade is. I can tell you what the first clue is. I can tell you what the end of his rainbow is. I have answers to every single quote. Even bringing in T.S. Eliot, why he brought in T.S. Eliot, why he brought in Eric Sloane, the dedications, because Sloane Museum is in Kent. What's on the cross? Kent. There's so many Kents that are brought up in double meanings on, somebody told me that the Bishop's Riddle, Forrest Fenn solved the Bishop's Riddle. He did not. The Bishop's Riddle is a story about a nun who gets murdered in Kent in an abbey. This all revolves around Clark Kent and Aunt Esther. That is the magic, folks. That is why this is over. The smart people out there that have some imagination. I'm not talking about the vloggers here, folks, just so you know. The vloggers don't want to have any imagination about what the real solve is. That's why they all... Bill Gorman already has his book. And you can see on my channel, you've got William Kidd. You've got Usual Suspects. Those are the scabs that Shiloh's created. And Treasure Poem, we discussed it a little bit, but he still feels it's his solve somewhere else in Wyoming because he believes when Forrest Fenn had finally agreed to say it was in Wyoming, it's because he's covering up for the family disgrace of what really happened. That's what the truth is, folks. This solve that they don't want out, that's too late. It's already out. All the information's out. Hundreds and hundreds of clues that I have and I still have to put out about all of the superheroes, about all of the innuendos about Aunt Esther and Bubba and Red Fox and Fred Sanford. All of those names. And Elizabeth, it's a big one. Elizabeth is in there. Lana Ling. He brought in his stories, and even the Ben Underwood, there's a story about another Ben who's an artist. He brought in Ben to connect with the Underwood story about a superhero. There's 56, well, there's many more about heroes in the books, but I just gave you 56, but there's so many more that I still have not found. Folks, look for you real people out there that want to know, that have these books about Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt, Too Far to Walk, and The Thrill of Chase, and Once Upon a While. Look inside of them. I still have not found Jimmy Olsen. He's got to be in there somewhere. Jimmy Olsen. I already found the chief, the DA, the district attorney, is called the editor-in-chief. So I found the chief. I found a bunch of Lois Lane, Lana Lang, Lex Luthor, all the L's with the school kids, with all the L's. That's a clue. This is all revolving around superheroes. Bessie, her tail got all knotted and it would hit Forrest Fenn in the head. You have to tie it down. If you look up what a Bessie is, it's a cool chick who rocks a hard bun, or rocks a bun, which is the knot, and she can pack a punch like effing Superman. Forrest Fenn spent 15 years, folks, and if you want to spend the rest of your life watching the bickering between Barbara and Jay Street and Greg on Treasure Seeker's Brutal Truth, all bicker and fight back and forth, that's fine. Go do it. I have no problem with it. I am looking for the real people who want the real solve, that go, this is friggin' cool. This is friggin' amazing. Some of the things that Forrest Fenn brought into this whole treasure hunt and this search. And it is, folks. It is so creative and so genius that the other vloggers are embarrassed that they didn't catch it. They didn't see it. They didn't find it. Whatever. Or their own agendas that they want to make their own money. And you know the sad thing? Somebody that I thought was like a real good guy out there. I put up my $50,000 bet. Anybody that could prove me wrong, which they can't do. They're grasping at straws of things just because their own mind won't let them understand it. I know the people that are out there that want to know the true solve will look at this and say, this all makes sense. It has structure. There's all these different clues that lead you to that cross at Palisade Sill. The mountain men for the mountain man face in the poem. The creek for Maverick Creek. The Maverick for Lois and Clark. And Lewis and Clark. And Lois Clark, the Maverick's wife. This all connects beautifully, but they don't want to accept it. They want to brush it under the rug so that they keep making their vlogs and try to make some money. None of them, I've never seen a one of them back the actual true solve that's here. that common sense tells you this is the actual true solve by what I've produced and what I've given folks for information and facts, which is now actually evidence. And if they understood that the confusion that all of the vloggers have is all answered by what I've said and where the answer is for the final resting place for Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt, this is it, folks. This is the actual true solve that the other vloggers are just ashamed to admit it. And you'll see the bickering that's going to end up on my channel here. Oh, that asshole said I was... They just can't let go that they were wrong. They can't let go that they had a book. But anyways, to speak of that guy that I really didn't think he was that way. But the $50,000 bet that I put out there, he said, I hope you pay out. So that right there tells me he's not a nice guy. Greg posted something about dragons. And he put my Superman. He said, it's about dragons, not superheroes. So that little Superman let me know that he's referring to me. But he won't bring my name up. He won't say anything about it. So that tells me I sent Greg, good luck if you think it's about dragon. But you're actually dragging behind, Greg. You're not going to be the man you think you're going to be going down the route you're going. The Kent and Esther cross leads to the homely girl on the cross. Well, actually, I have to correct that. The homely girl on the grave marker, okay? Because people say, oh, you said it's a cross in Vietnam. They nitpick the stupidest little things. They're grave markers, either way you look at it. So if you take the Kent and Esther that the actual physical poem led me to at Palisades Sill, you take the Kent and Esther, not knowing who they are, and then finally realize Esther is the homely girl on the grave marker that's in Vietnam that he connected with. Esther, okay? The homely girl. How ugly she was that Fred Fox called her ugly in every single show. She was one of the superstars. Forrest Fenn said, I got the bronze star and I've got the silver star. Aunt Esther is the bronze star. She was the bronze goddess of fire, setting herself ablaze. Now, the regular folks out there go, that's friggin' amazing. Forrest Fenn pulled all this together. That's why I said there's so many layers and it's like an experience. When you see Forrest Fenn pulling these things in, and they're sprinkled throughout the books. That's what the validation is. Kent and Esther are not in the poem or the map. They are not. They are what you find. And that's why I reserved myself from digging it up, because I didn't know who Kent and Esther were. And magically, the treasure chest went missing in, I believe, September of 2019. 2 months after I found the Kent and Esther cross and sent Forrest Fenn the information that it had been found. Now, you tell me, if those pictures that Forrest received that nobody wants the metadata on, those are going to work out to September 19th, 2019. I guarantee it. Or if somehow Shiloh found out earlier. But that's all the discrepancy from 2019, in the summer of 2019, to when the chest was announced. All the discrepancy is because somebody went and dug it up and then was trying to cover it. That's what the scam, the fraud, the scandalous bullshit is, that is trying to be hidden. That's why when Jack came forward, when Shiloh hired him, there was no publicity, folks. It was kept down as minimal as possible. Wants to remain anonymous, doesn't want any information out, just so none of this information would get out to the public. Well, this information got out to the public, and it's out now, and the true solve is out there from me, not from the other vloggers. What have you seen for 2 years? I've only been doing this a little over a year, because that's how long it took me to realize what fraud had been committed. So the true solver came forward, and all of the other vloggers shit on him, just like Shiloh's little pets that he put forward. So And Carl, I know I said I was just going to talk to you lately, but you're the one who's going to have to come up with some kind of explanation why I have the actual true solve that Force Fenn created. And I can guarantee you other people are going to find more superheroes in this. They're going to find where Jimmy Olsen is. They're going to find where maybe Clark Kent's mother is, besides Courage Wears a Crimson Coat, because he talks about the gray-haired lady sits home and makes the uniform that the superhero wears. That's Ma Kent. This is all based on Superman and superheroes and Aunt Esther. It's so blatantly obvious that the other vloggers are just in it for their own agenda. McCracken probably has a book going because he thinks it's his soul. Barbara Anderson was the first scammer trying to jump right on saying, oh, my email was hacked. It was me. But never give a solve. Yeah, that's beautiful, Barbara. That's brilliant. I'm the solver. They stole it from me. I can give you facts, and I can give you things that line up, and it has physical and mental ability to work together. That's the difference. This solve that I produce and given out to everybody is something that you can grasp, something that you can see, something that you can physically go to, a map that gives you in order how to get to the Kent and Esther Cross. Folks, Clark Kent, there are so many Clarks that he talks about, and he has those certain phrases that if you watch Layers Part 3, all of those different hints, and I wish, it took me 18 hours to download that video. There were so many different things that I put in for people to understand what the actual true solve was in that video. And I am absolutely proud of that video. The real people have said, great job, Dave. That is awesome. They know it. I get emails from people and texts that because the scabs and the other useless vloggers that don't want to admit it jump right on the people who have positive comments about Force Fenn's true actual solve. That is something physical that we know you can associate with. That's the thing. Force Fenn's treasure hunt, actual solve, people have to be able to understand it. People have to be able to say, I see what he's doing here. I see what he did. I understand how he brought that in, or why he brought in Palisade, or why he brought in so many postmark sayings about the windows when the window is actually Palisade Hill. It's so friggin' genius. That's all the different layers that come in to Kent and Esther at the cross and how important the cross was to him. So basically at the end of the Layers 3 video, there were so many more that I could have still put in about how all the world is a stage and each of us must play a part. And that's how he incorporated Dancing with the Stars. And he literally tells us in that saying, I will tell you of my secret plan. Dancing with the Stars. It blows my mind that the other vloggers just don't want to accept how beautiful and amazing this solve is. And I know because I have the emails that Force Fenn sent me while he was still in the hunt, while everybody was still in the hunt. And then a month and a half after the treasure chest had been found, I amazingly, because I knew when I was pushing it, I amazingly got an email from Force Fenn a month on his deathbed. Okay, folks, I'm sure everybody, Force Fenn must have sent out thousands and thousands of emails to people to just put them at ease, right? I mean, this is my proof of fraud. People say, oh, Dave, you're the only one that Force Fenn sent an email to, besides Barbara, that I was not the solver. Folks, that is proof of fraud to the direct guy who solved it. That is proof. And you may not see it yet. The real people And Netflix, Disney, Paramount Pictures, all of the major movie companies out there. There's a difference between knowing what the solve is, and then here's where the moneymaker is, folks. The actual true fraud behind it that I have solved to let people know what really happened. They're betting on that I cannot prove what Shiloh did. They're betting on it. But I tell you folks right now, I can prove it. I can prove by what I have for information, by what I have when the blaze was found. When I found the blaze in 2017, December 2017, Forrest said, I have a gut feeling the treasure's going to be found by the end of next summer. That was because of me, folks. Other vloggers will think it's them. I found a tree in the wilderness. No, it's because I found the actual blaze, and how friggin' simple it is from the blaze down to the front parking lot across, and the cross is right there. I missed it for 2 years. That's how this whole thing got so screwed up. I was concentrating on other look quickly downs. My bad, but it shouldn't have been stolen. It shouldn't have been stolen after I told Forrest Fenn, and Forrest Fenn knew. And that's why the discrepancy is on why he said, I have to agree to say that it was in Wyoming, just to put people at ease. No, folks, just so people won't question this guy Dave when he comes forward and he's going to accuse my grandson of stealing the treasure chest. The other vloggers are afraid of Shiloh. They're scared. They want to kiss his ass. They want to be friends with him. They don't understand what the real situation that happened here. Folks, now that this is out, I can guarantee you there's either going to be a lawsuit put against me because they have to try to protect the lies that they've done. There's either going to be a lawsuit or they're going to come clean. They have to, because too many people are going to see the amazing thing that Forrest Fenn built here for 15 years. 15 years. And it's not a brownie fish nickname in Madison Hole or Madison Junction or whatever. I don't even know it. Nobody knows what the real solve is, right? They just think they know where the real ending is. And nobody has any answers. That is why they don't want you to know the answer. So that's why I do my videos, so that you understand the actual full solve, the actual full poem, how it works, and brings you to Palisades Hill, New Mexico, Cimarron Canyon, at the cross at Kent and Esther. Magic. It's all beautifully crafted, brilliant, and that's why he had to redo everything multiple times. So when you understand what each word means inside the poem, that's what understanding and realizing what Forrest Fenn was saying in each stanza, in each clue. And that's why I broke it down in the Layers 2 video. That video, towards the end, where I do the breakdown of the actual poem, the way that it's supposed to be to end up at the cross. That's why I did it. It's all explained. The vloggers think that the whole poem is a map, and you have to pull out 9 lines. It's not true. Forrest Fenn said don't disregard any word. Not all of them are critical, but don't disregard any of them. I'm the only one that's used every single word in the poem. The way that Forrest Fenn wanted you to use it, to find the cross at Palisades Hill in Cimarron Canyon, New Mexico. It's so simple. It's so simple. And the reason he said give the poem to a child is because the word there in the poem is actually Palisades Hill. If you can figure out, as I've gone alone in there with my treasures bold, and then from there, it's no place for the meek. Palisades Hill is what he's talking about. First stanza is all Palisades Hill and his treasures that he would bring in. The Superman, he was 13 years old. Actually, he was 8 years old when Superman 1 came out. So he was probably 13. He might have had Superman 1 working for Joe. My experiences with Joe about all the superheroes. That's why he brought in the third book. Anyways, I think you get my drift. I just wanted to put this video out to let everyone know that it is over. If there's any questions about the ending of this treasure hunt, I have the answers that are 100% factual answers that give you that baseline, the story behind all of Forrest Fenn stories. That's what I have to offer. I have all of the answers to every quote, the 9 clues. I have hundreds of hints to back it up with facts in the books. So when this goes, if this ever gets to court again, for some reason with someone else, hopefully they involve me. I'm not the suing kind, but I can tell you right now, with the harassment that I've gotten from Shiloh and his crew, Robert McQuaid, James McQuaid, and then all of the made up people that are inside the Fenn community, Hello, and William Kidd, all the other jackasses, Bo Arrow, that's Shiloh. He's already admitted it. The UU Ranch. If you look at my email conspiracy videos, you'll see that there was something in those videos that they did not want posted. That's why they jumped right on it for copyright. But those people right there, they are all involved with the scam. And I believe there are a number of vloggers that are involved with the scam or gotten paid off or had a gag order and they accepted money to shut up. So all of this is going to come out. This is information that I need people to understand. It needs to be out in the public and it needs to be exposed. And I'm the guy that can do it. I'm the guy risking my life right now with all of the other vloggers that don't want to get involved because they want their fame, their YouTube channel to thrive. You know, thinking, if you really thought about it, backing the guy who really solved it, which is me, undisputable. I don't care what somebody comes forward with. It's not going to match the amount of information that Forrest Fenn put in his books about superheroes and about Aunt Esther and the connections with those people in those shows. And the way to figure it out is watch my Layers number 3 video. That one's beautiful. That explains Superman. It explains Aunt Esther. And there's still so much more. I find more Palisades when I look inside. So those numbers are increasing every day. But again, folks, I'm Dave Woodard. Get the information out there. Let people know. Let news agencies know. Say, hey, there's a guy that's really crazy. And he thinks he solved Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt. It's amazing what he's got for information, but I don't believe him. So just make me go down as crazy. I don't care how you do it or how I do it. But I'm telling you, folks, I solved Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt. The $3 million theft of Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt by his own family, and they're trying to cover it up. That's why Jack hides. That's why Shiloh doesn't say a word. That's why Cynthia, balls deep in the conspiracy, they used her solve that she thought would work. They had nothing to give you, folks. This has gone on to epic proportions. You have, I believe it's Ben and Ashley, Treasure Warriors or something. And OTech says it. The other vloggers know that these other vloggers are like scams, but they won't back the actual true solve that will prove that they are. They all just bicker back and forth like kids. Every time I go into this, I feel like I'm the adult in the room trying to explain to a bunch of these kids, hey, you know, this is how it's supposed to be. But you know what? They just don't listen. They're just like little kids that are on the bad side of listening. It's pathetic. So, folks, if you want the real true solve and the true information, watch the videos I've posted recently and understand this is going to go viral at some point. when the right people see this actual amazing creation by Forrest Fenn that I have, and I have full rights to it, what's the moneymaker is the scandal behind it that I can prove. That's where Netflix, you have nothing to give from Jack and Shiloh for this amazing treasure hunt. You had something going on and they shut it down. I guarantee they shut it down because they're like, we're going to get exposed. It's been little by little by little that I've been exposing more of their fraud. But I can tell you folks right now, it is going to go viral at some point. And I had over 800, almost 800 in one day without buying any views, Shiloh. Imagine that. People see. If people can understand and grasp what you're putting out for information, again, I organized it and I show people this is the actual true solve. This is the connections that Forrest Fenn put in his books to the clues that are sprinkled that you're supposed to look for. I've given you those clues sprinkled. Those are hundreds of clues. And I just wish I could do an interview so that I could show every single clue that I have in these books. It's an amazing amount, but I still feel like there's so much more. When I look at something and I see the 24-karat Pied Piper he talked about, this the golden age of the Pied Piper superhero. There's so many superheroes in there that I still have not found. So the folks that are into superheroes, look through the books again. You're going to find something and you're going to go, oh my God, Dave was right. Dave Woodard was right about it all. And the vloggers, it got right over their head. Just like I've said before, they don't want this out there. So it takes away any fame that they're trying to get. So I don't trust any of the vloggers. Not a one has stepped forward and said, Dave, it makes sense. I like it. But there are people out there, regular, normal people, not the vloggers, the children. There's regular people out there that have said, Dave, your solve is amazing. I still think there's some things missing. And that's what I mean by the layers, and it's an experience. When you understand how it all pulls together, it is really, it's like an amazing experience that you say, oh my God, this Forrest Fenn created this backstory. And that's what they're missing, the backstory. When I put it all together, it's not everything that I know. It's just the pieces so that you can understand there's a backstory in here and how he did it, how he put it all together. But it's still missing pieces from other parts of the book because there's so much in 15 years that he created. So folks, I appreciate you watching. I thank you. I ask you, I implore you to look into the books for more superheroes. Look for, like I said, Jimmy Olsen. Someone sent me a message thinking it was the spirit of Thor. Something to do with Thor, and Jimmy Olsen ended up becoming a superhero in some of the books. But I haven't found an actual full Jimmy Olsen in the book yet. That's one that has bypassed me. So there are a lot of other things that can still be found about this solve.
It's time we all reach out for something new. That means you too. You say you want a leader, but you can't seem to make up your mind. So I think you better come with it. Let me guide you to the program.
But it's understanding you're looking for Aunt Esther or any of the characters in the shows. I found the Bubba. My brother called me Bubba, and it's stuck. And I found Elizabeth. I found so many different things about Aunt Esther. About Always with the Hat, with Bella, Abzug. The bickering back and forth. That is all innuendos about Aunt Esther. And Forrest Fenn was involved with it. And he said in his books, and it shows it, all the information's there in layers 3. That's why this is 3.1. But look for Kent. Look for Clark connections somewhere else. You know, the amazing one is, and I didn't even put in that video, it's in another video. That's why I said there's so many spread out so far. Of course, Fenn said when the Flywater story, when he pulled that book off his shelf, Flywater, and he said it meant that was one of his most important books that he loved reading. He said it brings back memories of the color plates that I enjoyed when I was younger. And teaching people to fish by the tutelage of my father. If you look at Flywater on page 13, he said he was a young teen. 13 is the page where it talks about Clark's Fork. Clark's Fork, the color plates, okay? You use a fork on a plate. There's your connection. When he was a young teen, it's on page 13. Clark and Fork and Clark Kent. Kent is on the sign. There's so many, I mean, it's so, like I said, blatantly obvious of the clues, the amazing clues that I have found that they are going to disregard. But the smart, just the regular people out there are going to see it. If you have any bit of imagination, Forrest said a couple of times in his stories, imagination is more important than knowledge. If you think that these vloggers that think they know something, they don't. They're trying to use knowledge. You have to take what Forrest Fenn gave you and use your imagination to change it around. Most of the people that are going to understand this are the real good people that are ball busters. And you come up with a witty joke like that. Like Forrest Fenn said so many jokes throughout his stories. That's the way I am. I have no problem going up against any of these guys. But they have it stuck in their head that they're the solver. There's 9 lines that they pulled out, and that's that. I know different. And now, hopefully, all the folks out there, you know different. You know where the actual true solve is. And you can find it in my videos. This will go viral, and you will see. Somehow they have it shut down a little bit for comments and everything else. And if you've noticed, I just delete the crap from the scabs again. And I should delete some from the vloggers because they're just stupid comments from some of the other vloggers like Why Must I Go. I should just delete them. But I want people to understand. These guys, I kind of really think if Why Must I Go is not screwed up in the head about being able to see this obvious solve here because he thinks it's a medicine wheel behind a campground in Wyoming. He believes, and this is the problem with the vloggers, they believe it's in Wyoming, a lot of them, but they don't believe it's Jack. Why would they lie that it's in Wyoming and not lie about Jack, right? But they believe that Jack was a lie, but Wyoming was not a lie. So they're confused. I'm sorry, you other vloggers that are confused about Wyoming. And that's why he said, I agree to say it was in Wyoming. To protect his own family. And understandably so. But the family is going to get exposed for the horrendous thing they've done. And I didn't want to get back to that, but it's so obvious. It is. Seriously, folks. I am Dave Woodard, the man from back east that Forrest Fenn acknowledged before Shiloh brought Jack in, and then everything got all screwed up. So, and it was found under a canopy of stars in the lush forested vegetation of the Rocky Mountains. So Forrest Fenn announced me, and then he announced my pictures that I sent him. Thinking in his mind, Dave finally sent me the pictures of the chest being retrieved. But it was somebody else. It was Shiloh. And then Shiloh had to cover his tracks with Jack. It's that simple, folks. All answered for you. And that proof will come out as soon as the other vloggers start realizing, Dave's onto something. He has every single thing answered. But they don't want to accept it. So I'll do it on my own. They don't understand, and they get mad because they don't understand what the actual true solve is. It's above them. But the real folks out there, I have faith in you that you can see this amazing thing that Forrest Fenn built. And again, you may not experience it in its full form, but you can see the clues in the layers number 3 video. If you watched it and you didn't understand a lot of it, now that you know where the actual places that Forrest Fenn talks about in his poem and in the book to validate it, now it starts to pull together what Forrest Fenn built here. Okay, folks? I didn't want this to go on too long, but I had to really explain that it's over. There's going to be someone out there that goes, this is the solve. And I absolutely know it is, just like I do. But I'm the one that can prove it. The other vloggers, they're grasping at something that lines up somewhere else. Just like Bill Gorman did with Dave Woodard, this is the real Palisade. And he pulled out 25 pictures of people dancing and people doing all kinds of odd things in a big rock structure. That's a vivid imagination. I didn't see any of it. I didn't see 9 clues. I didn't see where Palisade came in. Palisade Sill is a hint of riches new and old. Palisade Sill is Fort Sill, which is a palisade. Yeah. A fort is a palisade. Okay? That's simple. And he says, Fort Clark, Palisade Clark Kent. He brings in so many, and there's postmarks. It's all explained in the layers 3. And if you understand the premise and the different layers coming in that all pinpoint to that cross, it starts to come to you to understand what Forrest Fenn built. And that's my point I'm trying to get across. It's over. It is completely, absolutely over. Validated facts, and the solve is known. So whatever they're going to do next, like I said, the only way that I think they're going to protect themselves is try to say that Forrest Fenn had them retrieve it, or they're going to just try to sue me and shut me right up, or literally shut me right up, and I won't be around anymore. Something's going to happen. Something's got to break, but the vloggers with no balls to step up to them, it's not going to happen. We need the real searchers out there that see the actual solve from the actual person who solved it. That's what we need to do. They need to step forward. You're going to get your balls busted by the scabs, but it needs to get out there. The information needs to be put out of what really happened, folks. Because all of you that went out for that hunt, that treasure, if you stepped any foot in the woods, bought a ticket, spent some gas, you were ripped off. And I was ripped off of the treasure chest because I'd let Forrest know where it was, and he didn't keep it secret anymore. He didn't. And I can tell you right now, Sasha and Jason are in on it. Dal, I know he knows the truth, but he can't step forward because he's probably been paid off. He's probably got a gag order, or he's mad or whatever. I don't care. Dal, you disappoint me. Doug Preston, you disappoint me. Pam, you disappoint me. You have proof. There's so many people out there that are just shutting their mouth, waiting until this bursts. And then you guys can get called into court and under oath admit what happened. That's what's going to end up happening. All of the people that really know. And Toby and Shelly, I feel bad because you know something's wrong with Wyoming or Jack and both of it, but you won't accept. I've reached out to you. Again, another vlogger that is probably paid off. Why he has new camera equipment, who knows? I don't know, because Toby won't have communication. None of them have communication with me except for slandering and trying to discredit what Forrest Fenn actually built. So like I said, I'm bringing back Forrest Fenn's legacy.